Page 51 in the Berachot, the subject today is water, but not only. Water in a sense of washing hands, of ducking in a mikveh, water before and after meal, but also other discussions such as blessing, Berachot, and later when Mitzvah begins the Perek Shemini, the 8th chapter, it's a machlokot, it's a different opinion between the house of Shema and Hillel in regard to Seudah. Our discussion of yesterday was the very end of page 50, beginning here, page 51. If someone ate and he realized that he did not make a bracha, where and how he should go about with that. So the question asked here is b'midah delomim is nam melesalkim letzara darchech ulvarech, which means if something that it's not really despicable, which means if the food is still digestive, is still in his mouth, so he should move the food to one side of his mouth and he can make the blessing. Again, this comes from the school of thought of Rabbi Akiva, who said אסור לו לאדם שיהנה מהעולם הזה בלא ברכה, which means a person should not enjoy anything that God granted him or her in this world without blessing God for that. That comes from the school of thought that first and foremost is the thanking for what we have. Unfortunately, there are millions of people who starve. We just said several days ago during the high holiday service who will die in starvation and who will in thirst. Unfortunately, there are people in this world that are starving. So when you have a food and God bless you with the food, you should be thankful. So it happens that the person put in his mouth the food. Imagine that you have a delicious something that you really like a lot, and you put it in your mouth, and then you realize you need to bless God for that. So the Chaye Adam, which by the way it's your side today, he said in Hilchot Birkat HaNe'anim, Klal Memtet Seif Yud, which is one of the halachic poskim. He said that the halacha is you have to put it in one side of your mouth, and then you can make the bracha as long as it sounds right and you can hold it. But if it's mam'is, if it's something that you cannot, then it's a different story. Tir Gemarah Rabbi Yitzchak Kaskesa Kamei de Rabbi Yossi Baravin Mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan. It's name of rabbis that explained this ruling. Mishum shene'emar, because it's written Yimale fi tehilatecha, that my mouth shall be filled with your praise. This is something from the book of Psalms, chapter 7, and in order to say it properly, you have to have your mouth full of praise, not partially or fully full of food. And the Mishnah Brura elaborated on that in Kufayin Bet, and he said clearly that when you say it, it should be clear, so you really meant it. Imagine if you are standing before a very important person, if you're working for a company and you are meeting with the CEO, and while you're chewing food and you talk to him, just to understand the importance of Yimale Piti Latecha, you should say it properly. באו מיני מרב חיסדא, מי שאכל ושתה ולא בירך, מהו שיחזור ויברך? Someone ate, drank, and did not make a proper blessing, not blessing beforehand. So the question is, should we go back and recite before we continue to eat and drink? So the Maharsha explained that if you have food the front of you, and while you have this fruit at the front of you, or vegetable, whatever is the food, you should right away stop and make the proper blessing. But the question is, here they use the word יחזור ויברך, go back and make it. אמר לו, רב חיסדא responded, he said, מי שאכל שום וריחו נודף, כלום יחזור ויאכל שום אחר כדי שיהיה ריחו נודף. Meaning if someone that ate a garlic, and obviously nowadays there are some places that make a garlic without a heavy smell, but in a normal situation, eating garlic carrying a bad smell come out of the mouth. So he used the mashal and imshal in an allegorical term, and he said, if someone ate garlic, now what do you ask him to do? He feel bad because people stay away from him, so now he is going and eat another garlic. So there are several things. Rashi here used the word klomar, and as you know, one of my books is the explanation of Rashi when he used the word klomar, and I elaborate that a lot, the meaning of the klomar here. Usually when Rashi used the word klomar, he meant to say something bad on him. So Rashi said, ויאכל שום אחר כדי שיסריח יותר, which means that he carry even heavier odor. כלומר, יוסיף על סרחונו, meaning that he is adding, that basically you're saying that that one who ate without making this blessing, he should repeat the sin even more, but eating more without reciting the blessing, for sure not. So that's what he meant to say. Maharsha commented on that, and he said that the mashal is not compared to the nimshal, because the situation with the garlic, it's basically adding more usually doesn't make a big difference. If it's a bad odor, it's a bad odor. But I explain in that writings, Gemarah in Shabbat, Lamed Bet, Shabbat page 32, that said the same Rashi said the same idea, and he explained there that the whole idea of adding another shum is like some type of metaphor, saying that a person should stop and think and not continue repeating the mistakes. So anyway, he answered with the question, typical Jewish. He answered with the question, says, what are you talking about? Amar Ravina hilkach. So Ravina concluded from that, and he said, Afilu gamar seudato. Even a person already done, he finished with his meal, yachzor v'yivarech. He needs to go back and recite the blessing. So Rashi explained, and he said, Hilkach, Keivan de'im nizkar ba'emtza, because he recalled his mistake at the middle, Yachol levarech, he can go back and make the blessing. Afilu gamar sudato, nami yachol levarech. Even if he finishes his meal, he still can make a blessing, because he did not recite the blessing prior to the meal, so he can finish a meal and recite the blessing. So now we try to prove it from another source, that even it's afterward it's still good. Remember, the rule is, before you put, for example, an apple in your mouth, you have to make a bracha borei pri ha'etz, or ver la'asiyatan. First you make the blessing, and then you eat. Here's a situation the person already ate. So what we're saying so far, we're saying that the person, even he ate, he can make the blessing. The Tanya. So how we prove it? To bring another braita that can prove that point. Taval ve'ala. Usually when we talk about Tvilah in the Talmudic time, we talk about a Baal Keri. If you remember, we discussed it in pages 21, 22, that someone has a discharge, semen discharge, so he needs to go to a mikveh. In those days he cannot pray, he cannot do Torah, etc., as long as he's not go to Tvilah. Later we see that that's also applied to other situations like conversion, but here we said a person that immersed in a mikveh, ve'ala, upon completion, omer ba'aliyato, after he already dug himself in a mikveh, Baruch Asher Kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'tvilah. Bless God, Master of the universe, who sanctify us with His commandment, and give us a mitzvah of tvilah, of immerse in a mikveh. So, what do you understand from that? That a person can make a bracha even after he already did it. He already dug himself in a mikveh. Now he makes the bracha. So what do we learn from that? We learn from that what's Ravina tried to tell us earlier, that even a person ate the food and he finished eating, it still can make the bracha. How do you prove it? Because you see in other situations when it's come to the ducking and immersing in the water, a person make the bracha after he complete his. So Rashi said, Ala tvila, Alma, you learn from that, Af al gav detaval, Havia bracha, even though it's already duck himself, he didn't make the bracha before. So it's considering fine, it's bracha. So the Gemarah rejected it and it said, Velohi, it's not. Hatam me'ikara gavra lo chaze. So again, there is a here Rashi in Tosefta, but before we go to that, remember we said that in the earlier we discussed that usually Tvilah, it's precondition to study Torah and praying, because a person in those days after Takanat Ezra and all of that, a person who has a discharge needs to go to that. Here, the Gemarah discusses Hata me'ikara lo chaze. So Rashi said, the rov tvilot mishum kerihem. Most of the time that people immerse himself in a mikveh are people who have those discharge, men that have a discharge. Ubaalei kriyim, and those men asurim bebrachot, they're not allowed to make any bracha, shehem divrei Torah, because the brachot is considering as divrei Torah, as a word of Torah, and therefore if not duck themselves first, they're not allowed to. כדאמרינן בפרק Mishnah מתועש, we study early on page 20, Rashi said, ודחוי מעיקרא לאו דחויו, ולכי מתקן הדר מברך, which means after he fix it, after he do tikkun, which is ducking himself in a mikveh, then he can make the bracha. אבל היי מעיקרא יחזי, וכיוון דגמרא ידחה הואיל וידחה. So, because it's already late, so you do it, whatever it is, you make the bracha. So, hacha meikara gav bracha zei, voil deitche, because he has been said it late, it's excluded. So, Tosefta said, Tema, he asked a question, va'alot tameh eno asur levarech. He disagreed with Rashi. He said that בקונטרס פירש דבעלי קריאין אסורים בדברי תורה. He said that we don't hold the Takanat Ezra, the way that a person needs to immerse himself in a mikveh as a precondition for davening, for praying, for saying. So how you do it? So he said, ויש לומר, you have to say דמיירי בטבילת גרים. So the Tosefta hold, unlike Rashi that we said, it's applied to what? To Baalei Kriyin, the people who have a discharge. Tosefta said that that's applied to people who convert to Judaism. ומפני אותן טבילה הצריכו לכל שאר טבילות. Because of that specific formula of ducking the water, we need all the other לברך אחר הטבילה. So the person is not fully complete his being part of a Jewish faith because he did not duck himself in a mikveh. So when is the proper time to do the blessing? For that person, according to Tosefta, is after he is ducking in a mikveh, then he can make the bracha. Okay? So the Tosefta concluded and he said, V'chen b'ntilat yadayim. The same applied to washing water. שפעמים אדם בא מבית הכיסא ואין אדם ראוי לברך עד לאחר הנטילה. Sometimes a person left the bathroom, but he can make the bracha only after washing his hand. נהגו העם לברך כל שאר ברכת ידיים לאחר הנטילה. So in short, what you see here, a different approach between Rashi and Tosafot. Rashi hold that it's applied to Balei Kriyim, Tosfot hold that's applied to a situation of convert. So what we learn from that? We learn also here, if a person he finish eating and he missed saying the bracha, so since you have the opportunity to recite the blessing before eating, so the fact that he neglected from saying the proper eating, so what we understand? We understand that it's no longer an opportunity because it's too late. That's what the way Rashi understands. So now the Gemarah is not going along with all of that, but they bring a series of Berachot in regard to Isparagus. Isparagus, Rashi said, Kos shayu shotim bechol boker is a special drink they used to drink every morning. Aliba reikani lerfuah, it was good for the certain health. It's like have some type of therapeutic result by drinking that in the morning on empty stomach. That's what Rashi said. So Tanu Rabbanan Isparagus yafel alev vetov la'enayim, meaning if you drink this special drink that they made in those days on an empty stomach, it's good for the heart. It's good for the heart and it's good for the eye. It's like they tell you today in the research that you drink carrot is good for the eyes. V'chol sheken libnei me'ayim, and certainly it's good for what? For the intestine. So Rashi take it as a question, which means Rashi said klomar, again kushiyahi, again read in my book, I explain it, but in general Rashi said klomar b'dechamar katane v'kol sheken libnei me'ayim. So Rashi here I have issues, since we said that it's good for the heart, so what is the v'chol sheken and certainly good for the intestine? If something is good for the eyes and something is good for the heart, so it's obvious that it's good for other things. So Rashi put it some type of question mark here. V'aragil bo, but the person who gets used to drink it every day, yafeh lekufol gufo, it's good, it's beneficial for his entire body. Ve'amishtaker emeno, one who get drunk out of that special drinking, kasher lechol gufo, it can be very deteriorated to his body, which means they suggested to drink asparagus, but has to be in certain balance, not to drink too much, but a person can take it on an empty stomach a little. So now the Gemarah asks, Mid diktane yafel alev nichlal di vechamra askinan. Since what we tell us, what did the Berakhot tell us, that it's good for the heart, so what we understand, that asparagus that we discuss here is the asparagus that is made out of what? Out of wine. So soon you see the connection. Rashi said here, Rashi explained that basically it's an old wine, it's 3 years old, etc. But what we said earlier, that it's good for bnei me'ayim. I come to conclusion that Rashi said klomar for the second v'kol sheken, which means that he has a problem. Since you said earlier that it's good for the entire body, what's the chidush? What's the big deal if you tell that it's good for the intestine? Vehatanya, but we learn lela'at yafeh leramat kashe. La'at is an acronym, is abbreviation of Hebrew word lamed ayin tet. Lamed is lev meaning heart, ayin it's a eye, And tet is the tchol. Tchol is like the spleen. So it said for the heart, eye, and spleen is good. Leramat. Ramat is abbreviation of reish is rosh, head. Mem is me'aim, intestine. And taf is tachtoniot, hemorrhoids. So for these three, kashe. These three, it's not good. It's deteriorating. It's bad. So basically, what we are saying that this is contradicted to what we said earlier. So he said, answer kitanya he, what we said in that braita, bim yushan, which is, as you know, we talk a lot about the difference between old wine and relatively fresh wine. If you go to a store, you see the older the wine, the more expensive, right? Because when it's come to wine, the Gemarah said in Bava Batra, Rashi brought it, Bava Batra Tzadik Chet, 98, Yashan mishelesh dakad, mishan mishel shalosh shanim, that old wine has a very different value. Kidetnan, as we learn in the Mishnah, konam yain shani toem. If a person said some type of vow, neder, he used the word konam. So he said konam applied to, if I said wine that I shall test. So what's the Rashba explains that when we use the word konam, it's expression when a person needs to bring in a sacrificial offering. So he made a certain declaration, and we take it yain shani toem, wine that I taste. So when he make that declaration, can be an offering, can be upon himself. Shehayain kashe livnei me'aim, right? If a person has have an issue with intestinal hardship, why? Because he's alcoholic, right? So when he commit himself that he refrained from that, so it's basically he made some type of oath that he forbid himself from the wine in order to embetter himself. So amrulo, so the sages, when they heard that, they said, "Valom mi yushan yafer livnei me'aim." You tell me that by drinking an old wine is create harm to the intestines, but the truth is the old wine is good for the intestines, beneficial. Veshatak, he display equanimity, he is acquiesce, he didn't respond to that. So he said, "Asu bechadash." Umutar bimyushan shma mina. So what we learn from that is that it's asur bechadash, is forbidden for drinking new wine, right? There is a concept that we said that if part of the nether we open, we allow, then the whole nether is it's already annulled. So since it's already the Agra explained that since it's already annulled, so it's passed. So since here the problem is only chadash, it's a fresh wine, so in the old one is fine. Shma mina, we learn from this Mishnah that if you have an old wine, so it's good for the intestines, and if you follow the whole idea of what we said earlier, the isparagus, isparagus made from an old wine, is good for the intestines. Tanu Rabbanan, the sages teach us. Shisha dvarim ne'emru be'isparagus. There are 6 things concerning isparagus. 1. En shotim oto ela kshu chai u'male. You don't drink it until the cup is full and you basically undiluted it. Because as we said yesterday, certain wine, especially in Mishnaic time, you cannot drink it as is. Mekablo biyamin, you take the cup in the right hand, Veshoteu besmol, but you drink it in the left hand. Next one, Ve'en mesichin acharav ve'en mafsikim bo. When you drink it, you don't stop and you don't interrupt with a conversation while you do it. Rashi explains that you have to drink the whole cup in one time. ואין מחזירין אותו אלא למי שנתנו לו. After you drink, you take the cup and you return it to the person who gave it to you. ורק אחריו, and then you spit after you drink it. ואין סומכים אותו אלא במינו. When you need to combine a supplement, because it's an alcoholic beverage, so and you drink it in an empty stomach, so you have to use Rashi explained here, and he said that when you combine it, you have to eat right away afterward, because if the food is not eating afterward, it can be harmful for you. Just as a side note, remember that Rashi specialty was in the wine. He has his own large winery, so he knows this more than others. But Rashi explained here that when you do the smicha, when you combine it, remember many times when people drink, they ask the person who was, how do you call it, bar attendant, barman, what is it called?
Bartender, yeah.
Bartender. So he said, I want to combine whatever, two different, I saw it in several weddings, they want to combine 2 or 3 different things, right? So he said here, when it's come to this type, to asparagus, you cannot combine it with other, you have to use the same of the, because, for example, if you take asparagus that made in different form, it can be either bad taste or harmful for you. Ve'atanya, so we taught in a different braita, en somchim oto ela bepat. We learn in a different braita that the asparagus can have a supplement only with bread. Gemarah answers and said, lo kashya. It's not a question, it's not contradiction. Why? Ha bide chamra, ha bide shichra. One day that we talk about asparagus that combine with wine, and the other one is asparagus that combine with beer. So in those days they have Rashi explained that it's a fig beer, that if a person eat fig and then he drink asparagus that made with date beer, he needs to eat date. Wine asparagus is a different story. So here we said Tanechada, in one braita we taught Lela'at Yafeh. Asparagus is good if it's for the 3 things. Lela'at, what is la'at? We said for the heart, for the eyes, and for the spleen. Leramat kashe, we said for the head, for the intestine, and for the hemorrhoids, it's not good. V'tanya idach, just the opposite. Leramat yafeh, lela'at kashe. So it's a 2 braito that one contradicted the other. So he said, lo kashya, it's not a question. Ha bide chamra, ha bide shichra. We just explained that it's different between asparagus that made out of wine versus asparagus that made out of beer. Amar Ravashi said, Hashta de'amart lo rak acharav lo ke memav nizrakim afilu bifnei hamelech, which means you said that he need to spit out because it can be a harm, and you have those secretion that come out of his mouth, you need to spit it right away. So he said even a person endanger himself, Rashi said, by spitting at the front of the king, he needs to do it, because otherwise if he take it in, he can die from that. So now we have a different statement in regard to asparagus, some word of introduction. what we're going to study, it's a little bit Kabbalistic. It's dealing with the Maaseh Merkava, which is something that we not in favor of people to study because it's a really esoteric part of the Torah. Dealing with Maaseh Merkava from the book of Ezekiel, it's high, but since it's part of the Gemarah, we're going to study it, as I said, in our limitation of understanding. Amar Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha. Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha said, Shlosha dvarim sachli Suriel Sar Hapnim. If you see, when several days ago we blow the shofar, there are certain statements between blowing the shofar that mentioning all kind of angelic names that we don't pronounce, which means in our anthropomorphic language there are certain godly entities, like we call it in that sense angels, that in charge. So this one is the angel that in charge with a internal access to God in our language. So we say that three things that a heavenly entity told me. So Rashi said here, Malach chashuv lavo lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is a very high level of angel before God. If you look at the piyut Ele Ezkera doing Musaf of Yom Kippur, so you see that name of the explanations of that name. But anyway, number one, Al titol chalukcha beshacharit miyad hashamash v'tilbash. We need to wear your shirt, so don't take it from the hand of the butler or the hand of someone who's around shamash, but instead just Rashi said ata be'atzmecha tlehu, you by yourself do it for yourself. Ve'al tachazir kos isparagus el mi shenitano lach. When you're drinking this special drink, we said as either therapeutic or healthy drink, you return that cup only to the one who gave it to you. Mipnei shetach sefit, because there is Rashi said Shem Chavurat Shedim is the name of group of demons that involved with this. Ve'amrela istal ganit shel malachif chabala, which is again Rashi said Shem Chavurat Malachi Chabala. It's the name of angels that involved with affliction. Metzapim lo le'adam ve'omrim, they are just waiting for a person saying, mati yavo adam le'echad מהדברים, לידי אחד מהדברים הללו וילכד. When a person come to this and basically catch in that mistake, which means that they basically waiting to create affliction on the person. Again, we explained in our best. Rashi said here, Rabbi Ishmael ala larakia al yedei sham babraita the Maaseh Merkava. The Rashi said that he went to the heaven, and that's what he reports. Again, since the Gemarah said and Rashi said, we explain in our very best, in a simple way, what they said here. So what he said that Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi added to that, and he said, Shlosha dvarim sachli malach hamavet. There's several writers that said Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi was met or somehow encountered with the angel of death. So in Gemarah and Ketubot and other places that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi was like godly entity. He was able to enter the domain of heaven. So what he reports back, he said, three things the angel of death told me. One, Al titol chalukcha shacharit midei hashamash v'tilbash. As we said earlier, you should not take the shirt from the attendants, from the butler, and get dressed. Two, ואל תיטול ידך ממי שלא נטל ידיו. You do not wash hand by someone who does not wash his own hand, which means in order for you to be washed, let's say a person is disabled and needs someone to wash his hand, you have to make sure that the person washing his hand, he himself washes his hands. So for example, I saw an elderly person who was very observant, and he had the washing hand next to his bed. So I told the Filipino or whatever, the attendants that live with that person, to make sure that he wash his hand first before he wash this elderly person. ואל תעמוד לפני אנשים בשעה שחוזרות מן המת. So when they return from a funeral, don't stand before those ladies. Again, it's esoteric. מפני שאני מרקד ובא לפניהם וחרבי בידי ויש לי רשות לכבד. Because when they leaving the cemetery, coming out of the funeral, I'm there and I'm holding my sword and I allow to do harm. So the Gemarah commented and it said, "Ve'i paga mata kantei." If a person made a mistake and encountered them, what he should do? He said, "Linshof miduchte arba amot." He should jump arba amot from that spot. I'i kanahara li'avrei. If you see a river, you should cross it. Ve'i kadarcha achina leizelbei. If it's another detour, other way, other road, he should go. Ve'i kaguda leiko achora. We should go, we stand behind them. Ve'ilo lehadar apei veleima. If you have no choice, you go over front and he said, "Vayomer Hashem el Satan, yigar Hashem becha, ad echalfe minei." That he said, Hashem will denounce you, the Satan, until they passed. אמר רבי זרע, אמר רבי אבאו, ואמרי לה במתניתא. תנא, 10 דברים נאמרו בכוס של ברכה. The 10th important thing said in regard to a cup of blessings. Number 1, טעון הדחה, you have to wash. So for example on Shabbat, we are always very strict to make sure that we clean it, right, and wash it. Ushtifa and rinsing. Chai, it must be chai, so it chai meaning undiluted. Another umale, need to be full. Itur, crowning, which means you fill it up. Ve'ituf, you need to cover. Notlo b'shtei yadayim, you fill up, you take up the cup in both hands, and then venotno biyamin, you put it in the right hand. U'miyagbiyom min hakarka tefach, if you pay attention, we raise our hands when we make the kiddush. Magbiho, tefach from the ground. Venoten enav bo, you should look and concentrate on the eyes before and when he is doing the bracha, the Berachot Hamazon, you should look at the cup. V'yesh omrim, and there are those who add another one, which is number 11, af meshagro b'matana livnei beito, which means he should send it as a gift to his wife when he's done with Berachot Hamazon. So Rashi said, so derech doron v'chashivut, that it's like show the very elegant way of expression. אמר רבי יוחנן, אנו אין לנו אלא 4 בלבד, הדחה, שטיפה, חי ומלא. We have only 4, and basically what we have is הדחה, the washing, rinsing, chai, and full. Tosefta, however, said, ומיהו לא משמע כן דפליג רבי יוחנן העיד נותנו לימינו, כדאמרין על לקמן, אמר רבי יוחנן, ראשונים שאלו מהו שתסייע שמאל לימין, משמע שכן היו נוהגים. So Tosefta hold a little different, that the left should help the right side, but anyway, here Tosefta also said, ירושלמי לסוף פירקין, אמר רבי אחא, 3 דברים נאמרו בכוס של ברכה, מלא, איתור ומודח, ושלושתן מקרא from the Naphtali portion. So basically Tosefta hold here that there are either he hold that it's 3, or that what he meant that he want to exclude the requirement of crowning or covering. So in other words, when you filled up the cup, there's a question if you overflowed it, like in Avdalah you do that. Some in Kiddush. I read several years ago in the Ben Ish Chai, there is a Sephardic rabbi, Ben Ish Chai, that he wrote a book. So in that book, Shana Shniya, I think, the second part of that book, he discusses all these, I think this, if I remember correctly, it's in the Parshat Tazria, Ta'arot, if I'm not mistaken. And he said there, the Ben Ish Chai elaborate on that, the whole idea of hadachat hakos, shtifa, and all the halachot involved with the proper carrying the cup. Sephardim in particular, they take the cup in both hands, and then some of them hold it like shoshana ben achochim, like the top of their fingers, and some in the center of the hands. But it's here, the proper decorum, the Ben Ish Chai elaborate a lot on that. Tana, hadacha mibefnim, washing, it's inside the cup, which means you have to clean it from inside. Ushtifa, when you rinse it, it's from outside. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, kol hamevarech al kos maleh, one who make the birkat hamazon over a full cup of wine, notnim lo nachala b'metzarim, you have a large inheritance. Shene'emar, as it's written, Umale birkat Hashem yam v'darom yiresha. We said at the end of the Torah about Naphtali. The Naphtali is svaratzon, and he is you have the abundance, and you have the west and south inheritance. Is the Deuteronomy 33, very end of Chumash Devarim. So again, some of the Farshim speaks about literal meaning, which is that a person should, like Tosefta for example, said that that's apply only she'ein hakos yafeh, which means that if it's not fully clean, so you need to do all this process. Aval im yafeh belav achei shafir damei. So if it's the clean cup, why you need to go and rinse it and wash it? But some of the Farshim go to literal sense, which means that really inheritance. There are others who say that it's applied to more the spiritual part, which is inheritance west to south, applied to understanding of Torah. That's the highest level of inheritance of understanding. Rabbi Yosef בר החנינה אומר, זוכה ונוכל שני עולמים, העולם הזה והעולם הבא. You have two worlds, this world and the world to come. Tosfot said, so he hold that פירוש הרב רבי יוסף מרמר שליה מדאב למכתב ים ודרום רש וכתיב ירשה הרי יוד ה' יתרה. They have part of name of God in addition. So he said ביוד וה' נבראו שני עולמות. The Gemarah in Berachot we learned last year כי ביה השם צור עולמים, that is the name of God is a creation of worlds. So therefore it's applied to the part of blessings, this world and the world to come. Itur, when you said the crowning the cup, Rav Yehuda me'atrehu betalmidim. Rav Yehuda who crowned by, he was like a Hasidic Rebbe, he has all these students around him. Rav Chizda me'ater lebenatlei. Rav Chizda will crown it by surround the cup and he filled it with wine like we do in Havdalah. Amar Rabbi Hanan, uvechai, when you have a pure wine, you just made it. Amar Rav Sheshet ubebirkat haaretz, when you make the blessing for the land, which composed by Yoshua. So when you do that, then you have to incorporate that ikon. Ituf, the cover. Rav Papa me'atef ve'yativ. Rav Papa wrap himself in a cloak and sit while reciting Birkat Hamazon. Rav Asei Paris Sudra al Reishe. Rav Asei put a special cover over his head. The Mishnah Brura said in 183 that it's a well-known custom to wearing a hat. Some do it with the jacket as well. When you do the Birkat Hamazon, it's act of proper decorum when you pray. נוטלו בשתי ידיו, they take the cup in both hands. אמר רבי חיננה בר פאפא, מה יקרא? What is the pasuk? What is the source? שאו ידיכם קודש וברכו את השם. They said in Psalm 134, lift your hands and bless Hashem. So the Mishnah Berurah in 183 elaborate on that there are some, upon washing the hands, like God bless him, like my father, when he finished washing hands, he lift up his hand and he said this line, שאו ידיכם קודש, lift up your hand, וברכו את השם, and bless Hashem. אשא כפה אל מצוותיך אשר אהבתי, ועשיך בחוקיך. That's the sentence in תהילים. ונותנו לימין. So now we talk about the 8th rule out of those 10. So he placed the cup on the right hand. אמר רבי חייא בר אבא, אמר רבי יוחנן, ראשונים שאלו, שמאל, מהו שתסייע לימין? So Tosefta said that here you talk about כוסות גדולות, a large cup, or בראש חודש טבת שחל להיות בשבת, or if it's ראש חודש טבת that occurred on שבת, שהוא בחנוכה, the special occasion, או בנישואים, or doing the wedding, וצריך להאריך ברכת המזון, you make ברכת המזון longer. So what is the הלכה where the left may help the right hand? אמר רב אשי, הואיל וראשונים איבא אלוהו, because the early one inquire about ולא יפשט לו, when you don't resolve it, ענן נעבד לחומרה. ענן נעבד לחומרה, which means we should act in the stringently way, which means, Rashi said, שלא תסייע שמאל לימין בשעת ברכה, that the left should not help the right when make this bracha. ומגביהו מן הקרקע טפח, and you raise the טפח above the ground. אמר רב אחא ברבי חנינא, מה יקרא? How do you learn this verse, from what source? Says, כוס ישועות אשא ובשם השם אקרא. They said in Psalm 115, they said that I raise cup of redemption, and I call the name of God. ונותן עיניו בו, you should focus the eye on the cup when you say the Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after meal, כי איך דלא נסח דעתם מיני, that he should not space out or not focus from that. ומשגרו לאנשי ביתו במתנה. We said that he gave it to his wife as like a gesture, as an act of elegancy, כי איך דתתברך לביתו, so that his wife should be blessed from that cup of blessings. Ula ikla levei Rav Nachman. Story about Ula that visit the house of Rav Nachman. Karich rivta barich birka mezona. So he did the whole decorum, he ate bread, he led the zimun, the grace after meal. Yahav lekasa de virchita de Rav Nachman. So he gave the cup of blessing to Rav Nachman. Amar le Rav Nachman, Lishadar markasa de birchita le Yalta. You should give it to my wife Yalta. אמר לאחי אמר רבי יוחנן, אין פרי בטנה של אישה מתברך אלא מפרי בטנו של איש. The fruit of woman belly is blessed to the fruit of their husband. שנאמר, ברך פרי בטנך. They use a male term when they use a statement, God should bless the fruit of you belly, which is the Deuteronomy chapter 7. פרי ויתנה לא נאמר, they don't say it in a female, but they say it אלא פרי ויתנך, in a male, masculine. תניא נמי אחי, רבי נתן אומר, מניין שאין פרי ויתנה של אישה מתברך להם פרי ויתנו של איש. How do you know that the woman's body blessed because of the man? They said שנאמר הוא ברך פרי ויתנך. Again, the same, פרי ויתנה לא נאמר, female, but אלא פרי ויתנך. So his wife heard about it. Kama beziara. She gets very angry. She stood up. Ve'alta leveitach amra. She heard Rashi said, "Shelo yishager lakosh b'chad," that he's not going to give her the cup. So she stood up and she was angry. Alta leveit chamra, she went to the wine storage room, and guess what she did? Oy. V'tavra arba me'adane de chamra. She was so angry, she broke 400 barrels of wine. She was angry that the husband did not give her the cup. Amar le Rav Nachman said to Ula, Oy, neshad al markasa achrina. So maybe we sent another cup to appease her. Shalach la kol hai. So Ula sent her another cup, and he gave a message. Navga de virchetai. He said, all the wine of this barrel, it's a cup of blessing. Shalchale, so Yalta answered back. She said, Mimahadurei meilei umismartutei kalmei. So Rashi explained that she said, ממחזירי בעיירות ירבו תמיד דברים. She meant to say that it's like idle words that come from the old rags come lice, which means she basically was furious at them. אמר רב אסי, אין מסיחין על כוס של ברכה. When a person holds the cup in order to make the bracha, he should not engage in any conversation until he finish the Birkat Hamazon. In other words, you lift it up, you said it, that's the to the end. ואמר רב אסי, אין מברכים על כוס של פורענות. You don't do a grace after meal over a cup of punishment. מהי כוס של פורענות? What does that mean? אמר רב נחמן בר יצחק, כוס שני. Rashi explained שהוא של זוגות ועומד על שולחנו הוא שתי זוגות ניזוק על ידי שדים. Rashi explained here that it's involved that someone who עומד מעל, that someone who stand, it's like involved with the demons. It was a teaching at Talmudic time that it's like demons that create a harm, the one who eat in pair. Again, it's the something that above the scope of this shiur. תניא מאחי, השותה כפליים לא יברך, שנאמר, משום שנאמר, ייכון לקראת אלוקיך ישראל, והי לא מתקן. So one who drink pair should not recite the grace after meal, because they said he can't prepare to God Israel, and he is not properly prepared. So several things. So Rashi said here, בדברים נעים, ייכון לקראת אלוקיך בדברים נעים, ולא בדברי פורענות. You should prepare in something nice. That's, by the way, the reason that some Hasidim wearing a gartel, like the avnet, the around them. It's like preparation, but it's like preparation before praying. Here is like the proper decorum, the preparation before praying. אמר רבי אבאו ואמרי לה במתניתא תנא, האוכל ומהלך מברך מועמד. Here in America you see it a lot. You go to those bar mitzvahs and weddings, you see people walking and talking and eating, right? Not the best for a person's health. So he said, what's the story? A person, you have to stop walking and stand when you do Birkat Hamazon. You cannot talk to God while you're walking around. It's very incongruous. וכשהוא אוכל מועמד, מברך מיושב. You eat while you're standing, which is not healthy. We should sit down and make the bracha, because in order to say the bracha properly and concentrate, you should sit. וכשהוא מייסב, so Rashi said במיטה דרך הסבה, when a person recline while he's eating, יושב ומברך, he should sit and make the bracha, ברכת המזון, והלכתה, and the halacha, בכולו יושב ומברך, that the whole situation, walk, stand, reclining, it always need to sit, and the Rashi said בכולו יושב ומברך, meaning that he need to sit in order to have a proper concentration. Tosefta said here, לפי שברכת המזון דאורייתא, because the grace after meal is from the Torah, החמירו בה, we should be strict in that, להיות יושב, that the person should sit ומברך, שהרי 10 דברים נאמרו בו, מה שאין כן בשאר ברכות. So he said, on behalf of Rabbi Moshe Albert, the Tosefta said that that's the way that v'achalta v'savata, that you should sit while you fully sustain. In a Ritva elaborate, and he said that in order for a person to get the proper concentration, proper respect in that decorum, he should sit and make the bracha, not in any other form. Hadran alach shlosha she'achlu. Perek Shmini, beginning of the Mishnah, Elu dvarim shem ben Beit Shammai lebeit Hillel basouda. This is a dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel in the matter of the meal. So the Tosefta Rosh explained that having completed its treatment of the Birkat Hamazon and its related laws, now the Mishnah listed the dispute that pertain to the rituals that either precede or follow a meal. So the chapter begins with the Kiddush, and then they go to the Netilat Yadayim, and then the washing hands after the meal, and then the grace of the meal, and then the Havdalah, and they go the Birkat Hamazon, a cup of wine, and the law in regard to Amen is all dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. So the Mishnah starts with this matter of dispute between the house of Shammai and house of Hillel. So now we start with the Kiddush. So when we have a cup of wine of the first meal, Shabbat and festival, so we have the Kiddush. The Kiddush consists of two blessings. One, the blessing declares that the sanctity of the day on the Shabbat, right? This is the lengthy blessing that concludes Mekadesh Shabbat, and if it's a festival, Mekadesh Israel ve'azmanim. And the other blessing, it's always Borei Pri Hagafen. So now is a dispute. They concern the order of this blessing. So Elu dvarim sheben Beit Shammai. These are the matter of dispute, which mean they pertain to the meal. Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel dispute. Soon you see another law of meal, but that's the one they started. They said Beit Shammai omrim mevarech al hayom ve'achar kach mevarech al hayayin. First, to make a blessing over the day, over meaning the sanctification of the day first, and then the blessing of the wine afterward. Which means Beit Shammai said that a person should say first Mekadesh Shabbat, the blessing that declared the sanctity in the day, and that preceding Borei Pri Hagafen blessing that is reciting over the wine. It's why the Gemarah later tells us in the next page. It's called Shehayom Gorem Layain Sheyavo, because the day causes the wine to be brought, which means the sanctity of the day is what basically necessitates taking cup of Kiddush wine. So not the sanctity of Shabbat. So therefore, because of that, we have first they hold that make for the day and then for the wine. Beit Hillel omrim. Beit Hillel said, mevarech al hayayin ve'achar kach mevarech al hayom. First you make the blessing over the wine, and then for the day. The Beit Hillel argue that since it is wine that make the recitation of the Kiddush possible, which means if you don't have a wine, you cannot say Mekadesh Shabbat blessing. So therefore the blessing over the wine take precedence and is recited before the blessing of Mekadesh Shabbat. So basically Beit Hillel based their position of something that we said a lot. We said tadir v'she'enot tadir, tadir kodem. If something is frequent and something is infrequent, so the something frequent take precedence. It's the first one. We learned in Zevachim several months ago, if you remember. So therefore they hold that since the most frequent is Borei Pri Hagafen, so that should be the first one. Then the next dispute, it's about Tumah and Tahara. So Beit Shammai said, we wash notlim layadayim ve'achar kach mozgim et haskos. We wash our hands first, and then we pour the cup of wine afterwards. So the Mishnah here referring to a cup of wine that wishes to drink prior to the start of the meal. So this meal is be the cup of wine used for kiddush that one drinks and start of his Shabbat meal. So it's simply a cup of wine that a person need to drink before the meal. So Bet Shammai hold that if one intend to drink wine and eat bread, he first washes for Netilat Yadayim for the bread, pour the cup of wine, recite Borei Pri Hagafen blessing, and then drink the wine, and only then recite the Hamotzi blessing and eat the bread. ובית הלל אומרים, however, בית הלל said, מוזגים את הכוס ואחר כך נוטלים לידיים. בית הלל say, no, we pour the cup of wine first and wash the hands afterward. So unlike Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel permit to use the cup whose exterior is basically impure, is tameh, and interior is tahor, which means we explain there is a lot of tumah and tahara involved with the gzerat of yadayim. So consequently, if a person using such a cup first and he wash it for netilat yadayim, he then drink from the cup of wine, it raises the concern that the outside of the cup may transmit tum'ah to the water in his hand. So basically, Beit Hillel hold that first you pour the cup first, and then notlim la'yadayim, and then you wash our hands afterward. בית שמאי אומרים מקנח ידיו במפה ומניחה על השולחן. בית שמאי said that a person wipes his hand with the cloth and then he places it on a table. The cloth one used to dry his hand from the Netilat Yadayim should be placed on the table to be used for wiping one's hands during the meal. So Beit Shammai hold that is forbidden to eat on a table that is tameh. Even the table is only called sheni latuma, the second, which cannot transfer tuma to food, or the chulin. So basically the table it's eating the tahor, and is no concern that if you take a damp napkin will contact tum'ah from the tables, and the napkin therefore placed on the table. However, Beit Hillel omrim al ha-kesed. Beit Hillel said on the kosher. Beit Hillel view that that is very opposite in Beit Shammai. So cloth used to dry hand should be placed on the kosher and not on a table. So that Beit Hillel hold that it's permitted to eat chulin on a table of sheni latuma. Beit Shammai אומרים מכבדים את הבית. Beit Shammai said that to first sweep the house ואחר כך נותנים לידיים, and then we wash our hands. Beit Shammai hold that the area where the meal was eaten must be clear of leftover food to wash for מים אחרונים. And בית הלל אומרים נוטלים לידיים ואחר כך מכבדים את הבית. בית הלל said that first to wash our hands and afterward we clean our house. So Beit Hillel basically hold that it's a forbidden to use the an unlearned person as the waiter, and Beit Hillel, if you want to see the whole discussion, it's the Gemarah later in the next page have a long discussion. Beit Shammai אומרים נר ומזון בשמים והבדלה, because we're running out of time, otherwise we elaborate on that. Beit Shammai אומרים נר ומזון בשמים והבדלה. Beit Shammai said the blessing over the flame is first follow the Birkat HaMazon, and then the blessing of the spicy, the fragrant spices, and then then the Havdalah. ובית הלל אומרים ner ubsamim mazon ve'avdala. If you look at the way that we're doing in halacha, so Beit Hillel said the blessing of the flame first, and then the fragrant spices, and then the birkat hamazon, and then avdala. Beit Shammai אומרים שברה מאור האש. Beit Shammai said the blessing of Shul, God who created an illumination of the fire. So they said that the blessing is bara, that created, is in a past tense. Beit Shammai considered the most appropriate because the blessing of praising Hashem for having created fire in the past on the first night after the Shabbat, and the illumination of the fire referred to the singular, me'or, because there is but one light of fire. בית הלל אומרים, בורא מאורי האש. But they say that the word should be, that's the way we do it, that who creates illuminations of fire. But the version of the blessing, it's different in two ways. It uses the present tense, boreh, and the other one, meorei, it's in plural. Then he said, אין מברכים לא על הנר ולא על הבשמים של עובדי כוכבים. You don't recite the blessing over the flame, over the fragrant spices of the idolaters, ולא על הנר ולא על הבשמים של מתים. And not in the candle or fragrance of the dead. ולא על הנר ולא על הבשמים שלפני עבודה זרה. And not the candles or fragrant spices before the idol. אין מברכין על הנר עד שיאותו לאורו. We do not recite the blessing over the flame until the benefit is derived from its light. מי שאכל ושכח ולא ברך, if someone ate and forgot and not recite the ברכת המזון, בית שמאי אומרים יחזור למקומו ויברך, ובית הלל אומרים יברך במקום שנזכר. בית שמאי said that you need to return the place he ate, but Hillel said you should bless whatever you remember as long as you are in a frame of 72 minutes. ועד מתי הוא מברך? For how long he can make the ברכה? עד כדי שיתעכל המזון שבמאיו, until the food in his stomach had been digested. Most of the contemporaries said it is 72 minutes. בא להם יין אחר המזון, if wine was brought after the meal, ואין שם על אותו הכוס, and there is no other wine there but the cup. בית שמאי אומרים ברך על היין ואחר כך ברך על המזון. בית שמאי said that the first recite the blessing of the wine and then they recite ברכת המזון afterward. ובית הלל אומרים מברך על המזון ואחר כך על היין. בית הלל said make the ברכת המזון first and then of the food and then recite blessing of the wine afterward. עונין אמן אחר ישראל המברך ואין עונים אמן אחר הכותי המברך עד שישמע כל הברכה. One answer amen after the blessing of the Israelite but not after the Kutais, because it's the issue of Kutais, and they said until he hear the entire blessings fully. The Kutais we discussed earlier that there's a lot of issues because Rabbi Dr. Bartanura said that Shema berech le'ar grizim, maybe he make the blessing to the something that it's considering an idol. So the Mishnah ended by saying, owning amen אחר ישראל המברך, ואין עונים אמן אחר כותי המברך עד שישמע כל הברכה כולה, which means you answer amen after you hear the fellow Jew, but if it's a kuta, it's an issue, because if you don't hear the full bracha, it's an issue what exactly he's saying. The Taz said that if someone hear the end of bracha from a fellow Israel, fellow Jew, he need to say amen. However, he said, "V'im shama migoy bracha shlema rashay lanot amen acharav." If you hear from a non-Jew a blessing, so he said, "Shevadai kavanato l'shamayim." If he meant sincerely, so the Magen Avraham said, the Ramah said, the Taz said that you can say amen. It reminds me, in those years that I live in Israel, so they asked my father a question. My father was a rabbi of a very nice community in Neve Sha'anan in Haifa, 43 years. So once they came and asked him a question, it's a fellow that is functioning in the jail, not far from Haifa. He's a chaplain in the jail, and he said it was a non-Jewish fellow that was a thief and was a manslaughter, convicted, but somehow he made a teshuvah. And during the whole process and everything, he was evicted, he ended up in a jail, but he accepted that, whatever it is. But because he became Baal Tshuva, he was pushing all the other prisoners to go to daven and because he was such a strong personality and strong character, they give him an honor. He's a killer and he's a thief. So so he arranged services, and the chaplain came and asked question, the guy is leading the service, but he did not finalize his conversion. Should I stand up and say you can't do it or not? So they pointed out to him the Taz. The Taz said, the Turei Zahav said, that all the bracha you can say Amen. So it's a big discussion if it's individually or in a tzibur, but since he have all the other Israeli prisoners that follow him, and he has such a strong personality, so he said, leave him alone, follow basically the Taz. Anyway, the Gemarah starts in saying, Tanu Rabbanan, Dvarim shebein Beit Shammai uVeit Hillel baseuda. This is the matter of the dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel on regarding to the meal. Beit Shammai אומרים, Beit Shammai say, מברך על היום ואחר כך מברך על היין, שהיום גורם ליין שיבוא. Beit Shammai said that the first he made the blessing on the day, and then he made the blessing over the wine. Why? Because the day caused the wine to come before the meal, which means you have the chovat hayom, you have the obligation of the day. And what caused the wine to come? It's first the Shabbat and then the wine. ובית הלל אומרים, מברך על היין ואחר כך מברך על היום, שהיין גורם לקדושה שתאמר. So Rashi here explains, and he said, because שאם אין יין לא מקדשים, that if there's no wine you cannot make a kiddush, which means even you have some chance to do a kiddush על הפת, גם הוא במקום יין, that even that is in a substitute of wine. So the yain, it's called gorem la kedusha sheteamer. The yain is cause for all this kedusha, the kiddush to say. So therefore he said, davar acher. So you may said, okay, so how about if someone drink wine during the week? So they have another point. They said, no, it's not just that. It's a even you have during the week a simcha. You have a chasana, wedding, sheva brachos, whatever it is. It says birkat hayayin tedira uvirkat hayom eina tedira. The blessing over the wine is something that you do it frequent, and the blessing of the day it's not frequent. So why it's not frequent? Because only on the Yamim Tovim Shabbatot, only that time you. So therefore, Tadir v'she'eno Tadir, Tadir kodem. We always go by the frequent, take precedence more than something that is not frequent. In conclusion, they said, ve'halacha kedivrei Beit Hillel. So the halacha is according to Beit Hillel. So now the Gemarah asks a question, my davar acher. Why you need to give the second reason? V'chi teima. If you said that hatam tarte v'hachachada, there what Beit Shammai said, there is only one reason, but here there are two reasons, then here is only one. Here is also two reasons. Why? One, birkat hayayin tedira, the blessing of the wine is frequent. Ubirkat hayom ena tedira, and the blessing for the day it's not frequent. Tadir v'sheno tadir, tadir kodem. Frequent and unfrequent, the frequent is first. Ve'halacha, and then the halacha is according to Beit Hillel. So it's a side note, the Sha'agat Aryeh. Sha'agat Aryeh was a great giant scholar in Volozhin. So he brought two different options here. He said, what happened if Rosh Chodesh is on Shabbat? So what do you do first? You do first Retzeh, and then you do Ya'aleh v'Yavo. Why? He said, because Retzeh is Tadir, Retzeh is frequent, Ya'aleh v'Yavo, it's less frequent. So you go by the more frequent. So now, the Sha'agat Aryeh go further, and he said, if a person make a mistake, and he said Ya'aleh v'yavo, and he realized at the middle of saying Ya'aleh v'yavo that he didn't say Retzeh. So the Shagat Arei rules that he needs to stop, he needs to go back to Retzeh, and then he will say Ya'aleh v'yavo, even he stopped at the middle of Ya'aleh v'yavo. Second point. And the second one is a little controversial, but it's also fascinating. Shagat Arei. He said in Kiddush Levana, when we sanctified the new moon. So it was one time in Volozhin that it was the last night that they can make a Kiddush Levana. So they came to Shagat Arei, he was a rabbi in Volozhin, and they said, this is exactly time for Mariv. What should we do? If we start Mariv, we maybe lose the opportunity to do Kiddush Levana. However, this is the Zman to do Mariv. So, what should we do? Should we do Kiddush Levana first and then Mariv? Or should we do Mariv and then Kiddush Levana? So he said, Shagat Arei said, in his view, he said that Tadir v'she'eno Tadir. Mariv is Tadir, and Kiddush Levana, the moon, is not Tadir. Not everyone agree with him. Even people said, well, how do you know that Levana will be afterward? But that was his view. But as I said, not everyone agree with that. But the point he tried to say is, in two different teshuvot, two different responsa, is that he said that Tadir, it's first. Now you see, Beit Shammai have two serious reasons. Number one, he says that is the idea of Gorem, that's the cause, the Shabbat before the wine, which means that in a sense the wine caused to have the Kiddush, to have the sanctification. And then you have here the whole story of the Tadir. So here they continue and they said, Pshita, this is obvious. Why? The Hanafka Bat Kol. It's a voice came from heaven, and that voice emanate and declare, boom, halakha like Beit Hillel. So the Gemarah challenged us, and it said, Ba'it eima kodem bat kol, v'ba'it eima lachar bat kol. You may say that was happened before the voice from heaven came. So it means the rule according to Beit Hillel, and then the voice from heaven came and confirmed it. Or you said that voice came afterward. So basically, to wrap up several halachot that we learned on page 51. First halacha we learned today is Misha achal v'shata v'lo berach. So the idea is someone ate, drank, and he left. He was here and he is now in Saverna Park or Bowie or Davidsonville, and he realized that he missed the bracha. So they said that one who ate and recall that he did not recite the blessing, so the derived rule that he does not recite the blessing. I'm sorry. The main halacha is that he doesn't need to recite, as the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 176. The derived hold that he needs to recite the blessing. Now, here is the rationale. It's not that the Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel really disagree. Beit Hillel basically said that the best case scenario, you make the bracha wherever you are. The only thing is, the Beit Hillel said, you cannot require of a person to return the place we ate. It's not feasible. It's not going to happen. That's the reality. Beit Shammai said that regardless, let's face it, Beit Shammai is more rational and more harif, more deeper than Beit Hillel in that sense. Why? Because Beit Shammai, it's well known, as sharp as possible. They said, look, if you have your wallet, contain $500, and you are in Davidsonville, do you come back here to pick it up or not? So if you ate the food from Hashem, why we shouldn't require you, if it's still in the neighborhood in the time of the 72 minutes, which means the food is still not digested, why you shouldn't return the place you ate and you make the bracha? So that's the reason why Beit Shammai ruled that way. That's the reason why derived hold. So, like the Magen Avraham, he adopted the stringency in the case, and he said either you add additional food over which they recite the blessing, or you return. But we follow Beit Hillel, which is whatever you are, you can make the bracha there. Another halacha that it's a little bit mystical, but we discuss it today, which is the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim chapter 4. He said, Al titol yadcha mimi shelo natal, which means if, for example, you're taking care of elderly person and you need to wash his hand upon waking up, you have to make sure that you wash hand first before you're washing his hand. Then another halacha, it's about the Kiddush cup. So the Kiddush cup required hadacha, shtifa, chai umale, which means the Kiddush cup need, that's the Magen Avraham said in Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 183, that Kiddush need to have rinsing, washing, undiluted and full, which means the Kiddush, the cup that you make the blessing, in those days you need to dilute the wine. The wine was too heavy. So you have to fill the cup up to the brim, but before that you need to wash it, to rinse it, put it up to the brim. And according to many Kabbalistic, a person should accustomed to go for the whole 10 points that we mentioned earlier from Rabbi Zera. And then the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 183 said that you should take the cup in both hands, not lo b'shtei yadav, and then you transfer it to the right hand. Again, there are some Kabbalistic explanation to that. Now, is another minhag to transfer to the family members. Some hold that it's even halacha, which means the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim said in 183, especially the Ramah comment there, that Meshagro l'anshei beto, one must give the wine from the cup of blessing to his wife. That's the opinion of Rav Nachman. How important halacha is ein mesichin al kos shel bracha. The minutes you make the Rabotai Nevarech and a kos shel bracha, you hold it. There's no any talk involved, and some hold is not just the person, but the Talmidei Rabbeinu Yana also hold that even the people around the table, people part of the zimun, or people there should not involve in the speaking. Another halacha is that the person should sit when you make Birkat Hamazon. Bechulu yoshevu mevarech. The Rambam in Chod Berachot chapter 4 said that whatever you ate, if you ate while you're standing, you ate you were sitting, you have to sit and concentrate when you make the Birkat Hamazon. Then we have the halacha in regard to Seuda. So we said that first we go by the wine, and then like Beit Hillel, first blessing of the wine and then the day. So Seudat Shabbat, for example, is do Borei Pri Hagafen, and then Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav. When it's come to Birkat HaMaor Be'avdalah, when you do the Avdalah, so the Shulchan Aruch said in 298, Orach Chaim 298, he said that in the come to Avdalah, you have to make the Birkat HaMaor over the light of the Avdalah, that's the Beit Hillel, and then we're not allowed to do blessing over the candles or besamim or spices of neither idolatry nor that you use it for dead. Some said even you use that candles for ner neshama, still some hold that you shouldn't use it for Avdalah. Or spicy if you use it, for example, for a bathroom, right? There are some nowadays some spices that they use for the bathroom, right? So it's inappropriate to use them for the Avdalah. So the Rambam Ilchot Berachot in chapter 9 elaborate, and he said that candle for the by the dead or these spices should not be used for Avdalah. Balaim yain lachar Hamazon, if the wine came before the dinner and after the meal. So imagine someone said the grace after meal first, and then you see the wine, so you make the wine after. In other words, even you do the bracha, but the blessing is afterward. And then he said, Onin amen achar Yisrael mevarech. You have to say amen after you hear Israel, but we explain what the Taz said, that even by the non-Jews, if they meant for heaven, it meant the blessed heaven, so the Magen Avraham and the Ramah and the Taz said that we should say Amen, but not everyone agreed, some disagree. If you read the Rambam in Ilchot Berachot and the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 2:15, they disagree with that. So either you go by the Taz or not, it's important to know that there are some who say that it's fine.